Hello and welcome to What's the Story? We're an inquisitive bunch of hosts from the What's the Story team on a mission to uncover stories about faith and courage from everyday people. And to help us do just that, we get the privilege to chat with amazing guests and delve into their faith journey, the hurdles they've overcome, and the life lessons they have learned along the way. Now, if you enjoy our podcast, don't forget to subscribe and sign up for our newsletter on our website, which is whatsthestorypodcast.com. It's your direct line to the latest episodes and detailed show notes, and they all get delivered straight to your inbox. And the best part, it's absolutely free. What's the Story is brought to you by Crowd Church. We understand that stepping into a traditional church might not be everybody's cup of tea. And that's where Crowd Church steps in, providing a digital sanctuary, a safe space to explore the Christian faith, where you can engage in meaningful conversations rather than just simply spectating. So whether you are new to the Christian faith or are in search of a new church family, we invite you to visit us at www.crowd.church. And if you've got any questions, just drop us an email at hello@crowd.church. We're here to help and would genuinely love to connect with you. And now, without further ado, let's meet your host and our very special guest for today.
Hello and welcome to What's the Story? My name is Anna Kettle. Today I'm joined by Becky Carr. Now, Becky is a Brit living in the USA with her husband Jared and two littles, Gabe who's 8 and Ayla who's 5. She attends the Mile High Vineyard church, which is in the Denver area, and is an elder there also. She also works for Vineyard USA as executive assistant and the national director. And she's a recent breast cancer survivor, a tea enthusiast, and loves to snowboard and hike in Colorado's Rocky Mountains, which she calls home. One important detail that I should also add to that bio, which you may not know, is that Becky is my younger sister. So yeah, if we sound like we know each other well, or that you see some family similarities today, then that's why. So Becky, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be with you.
So I guess we should probably start at the beginning, really, shouldn't we, of your story? And I know we're going to kind of unpack a bit of your cancer journey because, you know, you had cancer very young. You're a lot younger than me. And but I suppose we should start at the beginning and talk first about kind of your background so people can get a feel for kind of where you've come from. So obviously you grew up in a Christian family. Our dad was a church leader for Untitled Childhood. So obviously you were always raised kind of knowing about God, raised to believe in God. But I just wondered, I guess, at what point in your sort of faith journey did it really start to become something personal to you? Like, how did that unfold?
Yeah. So, pastor's kid, very cushy childhood, I'd say, like very safe Christian bubble. We had, Christian school and, just a great childhood, honestly. Grew up always knowing about God and having different experiences with him. But I think it was really as I finished secondary school and my A-levels, and I went to do a year out with YWAM, Youth with a Mission. I did their discipleship training school as my gap year. And I think it was really there that I, for the first time, experienced God in a more personal way that was more than just like something I'd been told or head knowledge. And it really became something that I wanted to interact with personally, and I wanted to interact with Jesus, and my one gap year ended up becoming 2 gap years. I met my husband while I was there. So we were still dating and, traveled all over the world, leading different short-term missions trips and just seeing amazing things, miracles, and, just had all kinds of amazing experiences. After my second gap year, I decided I was due to go to Sheffield University to do biblical studies in their department there. And I actually ended up changing to London School of Theology, where I did my undergraduate degree there, because I really wanted to study the Bible, but more in a Christian context. So I decided that LST would be a better fit for me. So did my undergraduate degree in theology, and then married Jared about 3 weeks after graduating. So
3 weeks after.
Yeah. It was a little bit stressful that time of my life. Finals, dissertations, and then planning a marriage.
Yeah. I should say, our whole childhood, Becky has never been someone who does things by halves. She's like, when she decides to do something, it's like all in.
Yeah.
That's a great example of that.
Yeah.
And then obviously after you got married, moving to America at like 23, 24, like kind of straight out of college and newly married, really, weren't you? And then quite soon after that, you moved over to the States, which is where Jared was from, to the Midwest. That must have felt like a big leap of faith for you, because you were quite young and you didn't really know what you were sort of stepping into. Was it scary or exciting or a bit of both? Like, how was that?
I honestly don't even know what I was thinking. When I look back, I'm like, I don't even know how or why it happened. The plan was always, Jared's from Colorado originally. His family's all still here. So our plan was always to just come for a year or two for me to get to know his family and his culture. And the plan was always to move back to the UK. And then I think Jared secretly knew if he got me here that I'd probably not want to leave, which was definitely true. But we had 6 suitcases between the two of us, and that was it. All of our worldly possessions we moved via airplane. 6 cases. We had like $200 in our bank account. That's not even an exaggeration. We were penniless, just like ready to move to America and start and just see what happened. And just ended up loving it here. We found a really great church at the Mile High Vineyard, and those people kind of just became family to us, and we just felt so connected and like we could see a life for us here. So we just stayed, and here we are 13 years later.
Yeah. 2 children onwards. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's a long way, but I'm not too bitter about Jared for taking my sister away anymore, but I don't blame you though. The weather in your bit of the world is far nicer than it is here. So that alone would, be fair. And it's a beautiful part of the world, Denver, isn't it?
It is gorgeous. Lots of sunshine, Rocky Mountains, skiing, great outdoor life. So I can't complain either.
Yeah. Now, before people think it's all been easy, because, you talk about a lovely childhood and a lovely place where you live. But you have had some real challenges, haven't you, over the past few years? And obviously, we touched on it before, getting diagnosed with breast cancer at just age 33, which is shockingly young. Like normally when people think of breast cancer, they think of women over 50. And so that's unusual in itself. And it was just after you'd had your second child, your daughter, Ayla. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Like, how did you discover you had cancer? How did things begin to unfold?
Yeah, so it was summer of 2019. So I was 33 at the time, like you said. I literally woke up one morning and I found a lump the size of a pack of cards just sitting on top of my breast. It was literally 10 centimeters wide. I didn't go to the doctors immediately. Thankfully, my husband, Jared, persuaded me that I should probably get it checked out. I, at the time, had a 4-year-old and a 15-month-old. So I'd recently finished breastfeeding a little girl, Ayla. And the doctors all kind of said, this is nothing. There's no family history of cancer. Like, there's just no way this is cancer. But we'll do our due diligence and get it checked out. And shockingly, it came back as cancer. At that point, it was a stage 0 cancer, which if you're going to get cancer, that's the one you want. It was considered non-invasive. At this point, it actually wasn't a tumor in the same sense, but they found breast cancer cells all the way through the lining of my milk ducts. So I had cancer throughout my whole breast. The kind of pack of card lump that I had seen was just literally my body reacting to this cancer. But it wasn't a traditional tumor. So they told me that I needed surgery. I had to have a mastectomy. The good news was I didn't need chemo or radiation, that a mastectomy would deal with it because at that point it was non-invasive. And then I knew I could have breast reconstruction. So that first year was really just going through. I mean, it was shocking and terrifying, but they had said it was caught early. Most women have a mastectomy. They never think about this ever again. Like, I could just move on with my life. So really that first year I was kind of focused on the breast reconstruction. It was about 4 surgeries over 7 months. They used my own body tissues to rebuild my breast. It was a little more intensive than other types of reconstruction. But I knew in my head, like, this was going to be it, and I could just move on with my life once I'd done these surgeries. So that took me to like March of 2020. Literally my last reconstruction surgery was the day before the world closed down for COVID. So they stopped all elective surgeries like that literally the next day. So I was like, sweet, this is about provision. Like, I just got my last surgery, and now I just could like hunker down during COVID and focus on getting better and what, you know, we're done. This story is finished. About 3 months after that, though, I was re-diagnosed. So in a very rare change of events, the cancer had come back in the same breast. So it had aggressively mutated. It was appearing as a skin cancer. So I actually went to my dermatologist just to think it was some weird little skin thing, and it came back as breast cancer. This time it was a completely different type of breast cancer. It was graded, very aggressive. It had mutated, and honestly, they said they had never seen this type of cancer before, this type of mutation. So they said they didn't know how to treat it, really. They had never treated this before. It didn't exist in the medical world. So they just said, we're going to throw everything at it that we can and see if that works. So that was pretty crushing, having thought like, you know, I'd done all this reconstruction. I had been through this last year. I'd come out the end feeling like I could move on with my life. And then it was just like another kick. And this time they said, you know, I'd have to do chemo and radiation. So I went back for more surgery. And then pretty quickly they turned around and said I needed to do a year, just shy of a year of chemotherapy. So I had infusions every 3 weeks for 14 rounds, and then a month of pretty intense radiation. So yeah, it's just like my world kind of crumbled again at that point, realizing that I was very far from this journey being over and that there was still a full year of treatment ahead of me. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a horrible, like, false ending, isn't it? And it's a lot to navigate, right? Because suddenly you're dealing with, like, facing a really quite grueling chemo schedule, like, over a whole year. And you've also still got really young kids at home who don't really understand. And, you know, and suddenly they're saying this is kind of cancer that we're not so sure about and we don't know what we're doing with. And, I mean, that must be scary. And, you know, suddenly not knowing for certain, you know, from thinking, oh yeah, I've dealt with it, to suddenly thinking, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. Like, they don't know what they're doing with this cancer. You know, there's so many things about that situation, which I'm sure are just like, incredibly hard. But is there any sort of times in that stand out or anything that stands out as particularly challenging? Like, what was it? Was it the shock of feeling like the kind of disappointment of like, oh, we thought we were done and we're not? Like, were there other times that kind of stick out as being really hard? Or
yeah, I think I mean, a particular moment was Gabe was now 5. He his first day of kindergarten, I couldn't take him to his first day of school because I was driving to the hospital to get my chemo port fitted. So I was going off for surgery to start this treacherous thing, and he was like going to school to start this. And I just remember having that moment of like, I don't know I'm going to see my kids grow up. Like, I don't know I'm going to see my 40s, never mind my kid graduate high school or so I remember that just being a really poignant day at the very beginning of that treatment. Then about 3 weeks into my treatment starting. Gabe ended up in the emergency room. He had a ruptured appendix, so we woke up one night to him throwing up blood in his sleep, and we rushed him to the emergency room, and they discovered he had a ruptured appendix with a severe infection throughout his whole abdomen. At this point, I think I'd done one round of chemo, I'd done about a week of radiation, and then he was admitted to hospital for about 2 weeks, right in the middle of that 4-week window of radiation. And we were living at the hospital with him. Remember, this is like in the middle of COVID still. So it was like
Not
no
straightforward.
visitors allowed, like only Jared or I could like trade off in the room. It was like testing every day and masks, and his sister couldn't come inside even the lobby of the hospital. Like she had to stay outside the building if, we needed to hand her off, and just total logistical nightmare. But I was, sleeping on the couch in his hospital room, watching him on drip morphine, trying to recover from this horrific infection that was all through his belly. He was in excruciating pain every day. And then I would wake up, walk across the car park to the university hospital where I was getting treatment. I'd go get a round of chemo or another dose of radiation, walk back across the car park, and I'd be back in his hospital room. And that went on for just about 2 weeks, every day, like back and forth between these two hospitals while he was laying in bed. So yeah, that was like a really concentrated, like I was going through my own treatment and I was struggling with wondering if it was going to work and if this was the right treatment to save my life. Was I going to die? And then I was watching my kid hooked up to a machine, trying to recover from an emergency surgery, and doctors trying to figure out how to treat this horrible infection he had all through his abdomen. And just a really low time. Yeah, that was probably the most intense part.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's just so much to deal with at once, isn't it? I mean, logistically, emotionally, spiritually, in every way.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I'm interested to know, though, like where or perhaps how you saw or experienced God in the midst of that situation. Like, did you see God at work in those times too? Like, how did you experience him or find him in those moments, which were really dark, as you say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think those first few weeks we were definitely just in survival mode. Like, you're not really even, you're just kind of floating around above yourself, like just responding to things coming at you. But yeah, like I said before, we just had an amazing community around us. So our church, just people rallied around us in the most incredible way. So like externally, I felt very cared for and held together by them. They came and, helped with childcare for Ayla, and Jared and I were at the hospital. Women came and like cleaned my house for me and folded my kids' laundry, because I couldn't physically do a lot of things still. I was fresh out of surgery, sick from chemo, all these things. And, women would come and just take care of groceries or cleaning my house, doing laundry, bringing meals. Like we had so many meals, and like just physically held by the people of God, which I'm just so grateful for still. So we had an amazing community. But then internally, I still had this like struggle of like, I was very disappointed with how life had turned out. I was pretty angry at God, I think, at this point. Like, just dealing with like the more spiritual, emotional side took some time. And I'm not even sure it was a quick resolution for me. I think it's, as years have passed that I've processed some of that still. But I think initially, like I kind of had this idea that God was supposed to save us. Like he was supposed to show up in a certain way in these times, and he was supposed to just like remove us from this pain and suffering. And like, why, God, would you let these things happen? Like not just one of these things, but like these layers of difficulty and pain and disappointment. And I think I came to the realization, like I'd always thought of God as kind of like, a genie in a bottle. Like if I just say the right prayer and wish the right wish, like he should do this thing for me. Like he should give me what I'm asking for. And in return, I would, spread his word and tell everybody that he healed me and tell of his miracles, and everybody would come to him. And that was like the deal I had with him. And
you like the poster girl for Jesus.
Right. I would tell everybody, like, see what he did. You want to believe in him. Like, this was a good deal for God, I thought. And it just didn't happen that way. And so then you're left with, like, now what do? I kind of had two roads of either I can choose this road of bitterness and anger and rejecting God and blaming him for it, which just didn't seem to go anywhere. Like I wouldn't say I never went down that road, but it just never felt like there was any light at the end of that tunnel. It was just darkness and more darkness. Like I didn't want to stay there. So then I had to choose, like, was I going to, try and reframe some of my thoughts about who he is and what I expected from him. And so I think I really, I had to wrestle with some of that internally of who is God in the midst of this. And, that he's not just there to give me what I want and take away my pain, but I believe he steps in and he actually like walks with us, and he can give us peace in the midst of those, intense, crazy moments. And, he can actually walk us through it. And there's a thing of hope in there that, this isn't the end, and that, that my hope in God is honestly what kind of pulled us through that time. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, I mean, certainly when, in times when I've been through difficult things as well, I know that I can really relate to what you're saying, because I've been like, well, you could become very bitter and angry, but also like it's caused me to sort of change how I saw God a bit too. And I really relate to what you're saying, because it's like, actually the thing that I sort of became a realization to me, and it kind of really rings true of what you're saying, is that like actually Jesus said to his disciples, didn't he, that in this world you'll face trouble. He didn't say you're going to have an easy life or I'll dig you out of every problem that you have. He says you will face trouble, but I will be with you in it. And that's really what he promises. He promises his Holy Spirit to be with them. And you see that in the early church, don't you? And with those disciples after Jesus's death and crucifixion and resurrection. And it's like, it's like they don't have an easy life. And I don't quite know where this kind of modern Western Christian worldview we kind of quite often grow up with comes from. But it's not really biblical. And that was something that kind of really I had to really address as well. So I totally relate to that, because I think it's very easy to think if you've had an easy life, it's, that's God's doing, and also like that's what you're entitled to as a Christian. And I don't think that is actually the deal. And, that's not kind of, it certainly doesn't like marry up to any scripture I can find particularly. I think perhaps just a cultural kind of thing that we've grown up believing quite often in the Western church. That's really interesting. I love what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And so you obviously talked a bit there about how it changed how you saw God and how you related to God a little bit, or thought about your faith. But I guess looking back now, if you could sort of distill it into one thing, like around what you've learned through the experience, like what would it be? Like, what do you know now going through that season that you didn't know before? How's it changed your sort of outlook?
Yeah. I think I now think of God as someone who promises to be with us. I think it was, I think Brené Brown describes her faith as being like, instead of it being an epidural, like that they were talking about, of like, if I just press my button, he'll make my pain go away. And that's what God is. Instead, thinking of him like a midwife, as someone who like is with us in our pain and is like there helping us through those moments instead of just removing us from those things. So I think I've slowly learned that like what God promises us is to be with us in the midst of that, and promises to see us through, however that ends. And that's not always a happy ending. Like, I still don't know my ending. Like, we think we got the cancer, but like I said, they were kind of treating it blind. So, like, I don't know my outcome. But I'm trusting.
At the moment, you're cancer-free, though? Like,
yeah, so I think I'm just coming up to the 3-year mark of where they would count my re-diagnosis. So yeah, as far as I know I do regular scans and blood work and all these things to show indicators. And right now they're saying there's no evidence of cancer in my body. But yeah, they also said they were treating a unknown cancer and they were stabbing in the dark at it. So that's always there, like, in the back of my mind. I'm trusting that. And in some ways it doesn't matter, because what I know is that regardless of the outcome, that God's with me in the process. And he's that midwife who's just staying with me, and he's rubbing my back and he's breathing with me, and he's saying, I'm here till this baby comes, till this new life comes. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna see this through with you. And there was one Bible verse that really stuck with me through it. It's from James 1. In fact, I have it here. I'm going to read it. It says, anyone who meets a testing challenge head on and manages to stick it out is mighty fortunate. For such persons loyally in love with God, the reward is life and more life. And that phrase, like life and more life, really stuck with me, because I think we always think like the reward is, like, for me, I wanted the healing, right? I wanted to be cancer free. I wanted a certain outcome. And that in this scenario does look like life as we know it. But also I had to become okay with dying and with my life not being the way I anticipated it going. And so whether I lived or died, like Paul says, to live is Christ, to die is gain, like the reward is him either way. It's him in this life or it's him in the next. Like, the reward can't be just what he gives me. It can't be healing. It can't be even his peace or like good things that we seek from him, his comfort, his faithfulness. Like, all of those things are good, but ultimately it's him. Like, he has to be the prize and the reward. And so I think, reflecting back, I think I've grown to be okay with, like, Jesus is enough for me today and tomorrow if tomorrow comes, and tomorrow if the next day comes. And it's not stuff, it's not money, it's not fame, it's not even legacy or anything. Like, the reward is, for me, is him. And whether that's in this life and I live another day, or whether it's I die and I meet him face to face, like, he is my reward, and that has to be enough. And I had to get to a point where I could say that he was enough, and whether I lived or died or anything in between, he was enough for me. So yeah, I think reflecting back, that's probably one of the biggest things. And that's like what I wanted versus what I needed, So I wanted healing. I wanted a great story that I could tell people. But if I had had that, my life would probably just be looking the same as it did before. I probably would still be like running around frazzled and stressed and overstretched and not taking care of myself, and lots of things that I changed in my life after my diagnosis. What I actually needed was more of him in my life. I needed to be on my knees before him every morning. I wake up and say, God, I need you. Like, I don't know how many days I have left, but I know I need you today. And what I needed was like an internal renewal, I think, more than an external healing.
Wow, that's really, really profound. And just very challenging. I guess, so it's kind of, you sort of touched on it there, but has the experience changed the way you look at life now then? I guess it can't not do, right? Because you didn't, it can't not do to kind of have a near-death experience where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to get through this and come out the other side or not. that really I think you touched on it, but that really concentrates the mind, right? It's certain focusing when you think, I may not have much longer to live, that happens there, I guess. Like, how did you find that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely pretty quickly, you start reading books and you start reading all the blogs about cancer and taking care of yourself. So I pretty immediately made some big life changes, in addition to all, the treatments. So I think I realized how much I had not been taking care of myself. Like professionally, I was a personal assistant. I was taking care of other people. I was a mom to little kids. Like there's no way to not just fill your life with taking care of other people. So it was happening at home. It was happening professionally in church. We were very busy leading things and taking care of people. And I'd honestly neglected taking care of myself. Honestly, wasn't thinking about sleeping well or eating well or exercising after having kids or just lots of things like that. I really had to completely overhaul my life and create some margin that I'd never had. Like I'd always push myself to the limits of what can I cram in every week. And so I think one of the biggest changes for me was building margin into my life again and creating spaces to have quiet time alone without my kids around, and putting working out on my calendar to actually make sure it happened, and being careful about what we were eating and drinking, and just, everything got completely hauled over. Yeah.
And you even kind of have changed your work and your sort of work-life balance and stuff like that, haven't you? You're kind of working in sort of more of a ministry context now, whereas you weren't for the cancer. And that, I guess, what I see looking on, as a family member is, you've also become really focused about what you do and don't want to do and what's important and what's really not worth worrying about. And it's kind of giving you that kind of, I guess, seeing life as a real gift and not taking it for granted, but also making the most of, that focus that comes with making the most of every minute you've got. And actually, I don't want to waste my years doing something that I don't really care about. And I want the time I've got and the here and now, that you talked about before, not knowing for sure if cancer will ever come back, but actually you've got today, and there's there's the here and now, and you need God today, and you want to make the most of that. And I think there is something really, kind of focusing about that, isn't there? I don't know about tomorrow, but I have to live in today and not worry about those things beyond my control. But actually, what I can control is what I do with the time I have now. And I really see that change in you as well. I know you talked about it before, and that's quite inspiring.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it gave me clarity. The whole situation just gave me clarity on what are my values, what do I want to do with our lives are just minutes and hours and days and hopefully months and years, but none of us know. So if I had a day left or a month or a year, what would I want to do with that? And how would I want to spend those minutes and hours? And so, like I said, I kind of looked under every rock in my life and started turning things upside down, and started a new job and more ministry oriented. And I've always loved our local church and wanting to kind of serve in that ministry arena again, and just want to put my time to things that actually matter to me and that are values in my life. So just everything got turned upside down, and it seemed radical, some of it, but I don't know. I think that was the gift of cancer to me, was that it kind of narrowed my vision and my sight on what was important and what wasn't. And it gave me the freedom to just make changes I probably honestly wouldn't have done otherwise. I'd just be living a mediocre life. Jared and I always used to say, our little slogan on our house was I love our life. Pre-cancer, even, early on with kids, we're we love our life. I just can't believe I get to live this life. And it's not that we don't love our life now, but it was kind of just this cocky, like we'd never experienced really anything hard. Like, of course we loved life. Like it was so easy. We'd never we're in our 20s, living the life and just doing whatever we wanted to do. We weren't like focused really on anything. So I still say now, I love my life today, probably more than ever, actually, having gone through this. And that was definitely the gift of cancer, was just narrows your vision and helps you reassess your values and put priority where things need to be. So I'm grateful for that piece.
Yeah. Well, I'm really grateful for you coming on today and sharing a bit about your story. I mean, so challenging to hear some of what you say. And I guess a challenge for some of us listening, is like, could we like reconsider some of that stuff without, those questions are things we should be thinking about, whether or not we have a cancer diagnosis. It's that thing, isn't it, that you kind of would like to think God could do it without like using something awful, but sometimes it takes that big thing, doesn't it, to really shake up in your life that you need. But I thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really great to hear a bit about your story. And to be honest, I could keep chatting to you about it for ages. But I am conscious of time on the podcast, so I'm going to wrap up a conversation in a minute. But I did want to say thank you for giving up your time today to talk to us and sharing so generously your story. And also just to let listeners know that if Becky's story particularly resonated with you, you can feel free to reach out to her. You can do that through the Crowd Church team. Just drop us an email or reach out to us on the website at crowd.church, and we can put you in touch with her if you want to connect or hear a bit more about her story. Perhaps you've got some overlapping story as well. So Becky, a big thank you for joining us today. Thanks for being here. It's been great to have you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to share with you.
And just like that, we have reached the end of another fascinating conversation. Now remember to check out Crowd Church at www.crowd.church, even if you might not see the point of church. You see, we are a digital church on a quest to discover how Jesus can help us live a more meaningful life. We are a community, a space to explore the Christian faith, and a place where you can contribute and grow. And you are welcome at Crowd Church. Don't forget to subscribe to the What's the Story podcast on your favorite podcast app, because we've got a treasure trove of inspiring stories coming your way, and we would basically hate for you to miss any of them. And just in case no one has told you yet today, remember, you are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. It's just a burden you have to bear. What's the Story is a production of Crowd Church. Our fantastic team, including Anna Kettle, Sadaf Bainon, and me, Matt Edmondson, and Tanya Hutzalak, work behind the scenes tirelessly to bring you all these fabulous stories. Our theme song is a creative work of Josh Edmondson. And if you're interested in the transcript or show notes, head over to our website, whatsthestorypodcast.com. And whilst you're there, sign up for our free weekly newsletter to get all of this goodness delivered straight to your inbox. So that's it from all of us this week here at What's the Story. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.